So I've got a friend who has a Chinese wholesalers, kind of like cash and carry, and got that bag, that's how big that bag is, of peppercorns, that much garlic powder, with that much more garlic powder, with that much more garlic powder. But here's the interesting thing. I also got quite a lot of MSG, monosodium glutamate. And this lot was £1. Plus I've got a little bit more in there. And it's because I've been following this guy on YouTube, Guga Foods, who also does this sous vide everything. And he did a steak, filet mignon, which had been kind of like marinated in MSG overnight. I'm going to try one marinated for about 6 hours today. And it sort of like brought up this thing for me, which I always get really angry about, which is that people will quite happily chuck handfuls of salt into their cooking, but they then think that MSG is bad for you. MSG is no worse for you than the salt that you chuck on your chips. Well, actually, do you know what? It is worse in one way, because it tastes so good, it makes you want to eat more. That's the only reason. MSG, there's nothing at all chemically wrong with eating MSG, monosodium glutamate. The reason people have been told it's bad was purely because it's used a lot in Chinese food, and it was a part of the anti-Chinese racism, the pernicious racism. It's a bit like, you know, Trump was saying about the China flu, the Chinese flu, the China flu. When it's absolutely, you know, that was where it's discovered. And it's a bit like saying, you know, the British virus. We just discovered it. We didn't fucking invent it. So it's all these kind of like little subliminal enforcing racist messages that surround us everywhere. They're absolutely fucking everywhere. So MSG, it's just another food flavouring. Just like you might use garlic or pepper or anything else. It's a food flavouring. And arguably better for you than salt. People use far too much salt. I don't use salt in any cooking, but generally speaking, I've seen people chuck handfuls of salt in everything. So that's my little wibble about MSG. I mean, that was £1 there, which I think is bloody good value. I was going to get a 10 kilogram bag, but I don't know anybody else that I could part it off onto. Anyway, that's my little wibble about racism. There's bugger all wrong with MSG. Back to the stuff that people are more interested in. I got a huge bugbear when people say about sterilising their brewing equipment. Oh, I sterilised me copper, or my boiler, or my kettle. Yeah? Did you get all of that? Did you? In your oven? Sterilisation is different from sanitation. You can sanitise all of this perfectly well by using any form of sanitizer. I've got a couple that I use. I use sodium percarbonate, which is it's kind of like a cleaner. Well, it is a cleaner, but some places like Wilko's will sell it as a sanitizer. I use quite a lot of sodium hydroxide, caustic soda. That will clean pretty much everything perfectly, including the skin off your fingers if you're not careful. So I use those as cleaners, and then something like Starsan or peracetic acid, PAA, which I haven't got any at the moment, but I can't afford to buy it in. I think it's as a Persid 5. I think that's what actually Chris uses. Harry Brew 69 uses Persid 5. I can't afford to buy it in big 25 litre things, so I'll stick with, at the moment I'm using Starsan more than anything else. This is all cleaned down. What I'm going to be doing today is getting me little spray bollock on there and cleaning out me mash tun, and then I'm also gonna at some point today start knocking some holes in here, some nice tight fitting holes in these me mash tun and me copper. The Erlenmeyer flask is sterilising in the oven. That is being sterilised in the oven. I'll make a 10-to-1 ratio, so 10 grams to 1 litre. No, 10 grams to 100 litres of 10 grams of DME to 100 millilitres. Fucking hell, Martin, come on. Of water. Then bring that to the boil, simmer it for 10 minutes. Add a titchy little bit of yeast newt in there. And certain chap I knew from Lancashire is going to say, don't. I do listen to you, but I've always done it. That's the worst. You know, as a scientist or as a health professional or as an educator, whatever I've got on at the time, the worst words you can ever hear are because we've always done it that way. Really strikes fear into me whenever I hear that. But I'm going to a little bit of yeast nutrient in there for luck more than anything else. There you go. That's totally disassembled my entire scientific background when I say for luck. So yes, the Erlenmeyer flask. It's a 3 litre one. By the way, Stewie, I see you've bought a 1 and a 2 litre, I think. They're good if you're going to be building up from a slant, but not to build a big yeast starter. I'd really go for a 3 litre. I'll send you a link to Rex Scientific where I get all mine. They're dirt cheap and bloody good, and I've never had one of those fail. All right, so that's where we're going. We are going to do a brew. We're going to do the brew of brews. Because when that keg kicked, I nearly cried. So we're going to do Will's. We're going to do Will Mayer's Flower Child IPA. Either tomorrow, Monday. I need to see how the yeast starter goes. I'm not sure how much yeast I left in the last Erlenmeyer flask. So, yes. And do you know what I still haven't done? I still haven't bagged up I'm not going to bag up the full bags, I don't think, but I've got some half empty bags and some half used bags. I need to bag them up into these for ease of storage. That'll be another thing on the list today. Whoa, Saturday, boys and girls, Saturday. So I get everything cleaned and pucker and sanitised while me flask is sterilising. And I still need to get my head around this overshoots at first while it's getting the temperature right. So what I need it to do is slow down before it gets to the temperature it needs to get to, if that makes sense, and then just ease the power up until it hits that temperature. But the measurements need to be more precise. I've had a good chance to get my head into PIDs, but a friend of mine who uses PIDs in a foundry was going to talk me through it and hasn't. So Greg, you fucker. I know I know. Miserable bastard. Right, so anyway, that's it for now. That's right, Greg has got a very, 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 very good sense of humour. There's a long story regarding, well, I can show you briefly. I think I can show you briefly, hang on. This is under my stairs in the boathouse, and there's a keg, which was cut down, and it's lined with refractory cement, and there's a crucible in there and everything. And last time Si was here, Simon made, I don't know if we could just about see it, from an old fire extinguisher, another crucible. And Greg was going to sort me out with a flamethrower to go in there, but he hasn't. I haven't forgotten, Greg. So that's going to be another part of what we do in the summer. We're going to be melting down some of these aluminium cans, but we just haven't got around to doing it because Greg hasn't found me a burner. Right. I think I ought to clarify. There's 200 grams and then there's 2 litres of water, and that is my little wort starter in there, and I'm now cooling it down in iced water, ready to chuck the yeast in from another smaller Erlenmeyer flask, which has been stored in fridge, so be perfectly viable. I'm going to build this up probably over the next 2 days, so it's probably going to be Monday, I should think, before I do my brew. Might even be Tuesday, because next week I'm trying to take a little bit of time for myself on the advice of some of the people that I've been spending a lot of time supporting, which is lovely of them. Thought I'd have a quick shot of the yeast, which has been in the fridge at 3 degrees for a little while. So I've poured the top off. This was at what was at the bottom, left a little bit of the liquid in there just to sort of enable it all to become liquid again, because it was like a solid block on the bottom. So there's about, I said 80 to 100 ml there, I should think. What is the maybe a bit less, but enough for a starter, more than enough for a starter. Normally I'd do a time lapse of this in the office, but it's my little Heath Robinson stir plate. Which I've just thrown the flea, the little magic bean. I'm not usually that careless with a bean, girls, believe me. Right, I'm going to sort this out, not one-handed. But anyway, it would normally be in the office. But because Charlotte's now working from home, I've had to release the office back to her. So we're now in the living room next to telly. Anyway, that now then, it's warm enough in here. It's just a standard constant 21 degrees in here. We shall now wait for that to grow. The barrels have been relocated, only temporarily. They're not going to stay here. Once filled, they will be going up there into an air-conditioned room, where they will stay at around about 16 degrees through rain or shine, or sort of frost or thing or whatever stuff. Reason I had to move them off here is because I'm going to have to get in here at some point, because next week, oops, sorry, next week it's time for me to take everything apart, replace the lines, the beer lines, take the taps off, give the taps a soaking, everything gets a good clean end of January. Why don't I do it at the end of December? Because I'm usually too fucked. And the last thing I want to do is disassemble a Keezer. So I'm getting ready to take this all apart next week. So I'll be replacing all the beer lines. Taps off, boom, that's it. But for now, what I have got to do, I've got to put this, all what is on here, and I've got to have a little look in my hop freezer number 2. We've got one upstairs full of hops, and this one full of hops, and then we've got one over here somewhere. This one, I think, has got about 4 or 5 kilos, oh god, down there somewhere. So that's what I'm about to do now. I'll give you a glimpse inside there. Well, I've taken the foodie bits out that were in there. I still don't seem to have a massive amount of space left in here. I am so trying to get organised, but I don't know. Hops, I think, seem to... Oh Christ, hang on, there's more here. Hops seem to expand to fit the space available to them. That was... Perhaps not. Whoa. Right, there's some more somewhere. Bloody hell. There's something very, very wrong with that. Let's just hope it's a one-off bad bottle. Oops. 24 hours on, we've got a good little Krausen starting up there, look. Now, I don't think I'm going to be doing a brew tomorrow, Monday. It's now Sunday, by the way, boys and girls. Yesterday was Saturday, and I've no idea why I felt it necessary to clarify that if today's Sunday, yesterday was Saturday. I'm sorry. But it looks like events have overtaken me again, and there's a couple of fairly important online meetings tomorrow that I have been asked to participate in a voluntary capacity. Be nice if someone would offer to pay me, considering that everyone expects me to be a fucking expert because I did loads of harm reduction work around HIV/AIDS back in the 80s. This is 2021, haven't you? Oh, anyway, not going to moan too much about that. I've got something else to moan about. And that is that I learnt earlier, and again I might have to clarify this for my overseas friends. Fuck's sake. Sorry, I'm in a bit of a fucking useless Laurel and Hardy state today. All fingers and fingies. These are polishing discs for those. Right, so let's try again. Right, I learned today, and as I was about to clarify for my overseas pals, our hospitality industry pretty much has been shut down in this country. By that I mean pubs, clubs, cafes, bars, hotels, you know, restaurants, all shut down now. So plenty of people who follow me on this channel will also, I'm not going to mention who it is, but you'll know who I mean when I say I learned earlier from a video that he posted that they're not allowed. He runs a brewery and a bar and a pub, a very, very successful pub of the year 2019, by the way, actually. Right up until this lockdown, he was doing click and collect orders safely with a one-way system, sanitised, everything safe. And it was just about providing enough just to keep ticking over. And I learned today from one of his things that he's posted that he's not allowed to do click and collect now. And I haven't asked him because I don't want to. It might be a sore point, but why the fuck not? I can walk into Waitrose, Tesco's, Asda, anywhere and just pick something off the fucking shelf. Why on earth can't a pub that had more safety measures than any of the fucking supermarkets, believe me, went to Tesco's yesterday, and in Tesco's the amount of people wandering around with no mask weren't being challenged. Fucking hell. So yeah, so you got a hospitality industry on its knees. What do? You fucking kick it while it's down by saying you can't do fucking click and collect. I'm furious. By the way, if you hadn't noticed, I'm furious. So yeah, I feel better now. I've started taking these apart to clean out. That was the other thing I was going to mention. And because some people don't realise that you can take these all apart, but I'm glad I did, because this one was a little bit gammy in places. As you can, there you go, look, a little bit gammy. So I'm giving everything, as I said, a bit of a clean, and then sanitised, dedationed. Yeah. I'm going to knock this on the head now, because this is going to turn into a long wibble of a mixed up vlog for our Sunday vlog. Still really need to get my head around the PID. When I switched this on to bring it up to temperature, it overshot to 56. Now it's maintaining it around 50, but a little bit over. So what I need to do is work out the parameters on here so that it doesn't overshoot. So it'll bring itself up to temperature gradually, ease itself in, and then when it hits that temperature, fucking switch off, please. And then as it drops down, learn to bring it up little bits. Don't be overly aggressive and overshoot. But that's for another time. I know it's probably quite easy to sort out, but I ain't gonna bother Greg at the moment, because like everybody else, he's on a shutdown. Everyone's furloughed. I took the piss out of him a little bit yesterday. It's weird actually, because then he phoned me this morning, and that's before I've put the video up. But I did put a posting on something somewhere saying about this PID, and I think he'd read that. So yeah. So that's it for today. And I am angry. And I shouldn't be angry. I know you shouldn't be angry, because a lot of people are affected. But when it's someone that has put everything into trying to keep their fucking business going, and then they're sort of like kicked in the bollocks while they're down, it fuck's sake. This government, fucking hell, lying bunch of bastards. So there's a lot going to come out next week, by the way, which is partly why I'm not likely to be doing my brew tomorrow. There's an awful lot going to come out next week, and it's going to scare the fucking daylights out of the country. Oh, sorry, this is awful. Oh, and I got a message from someone in America saying that I'm the spawn of the devil because I said it was good to see the back of Donald Trump. I'm gonna what do they say? I'm gonna unlike all of your videos in future. Well, fucking so what? Bah! Right, so if you're a Republican or a Tory, you can go and fucking be found dead in a ditch for all I fucking care at the moment. Right, that's it. Have a good week, boys and girls. I'll try and do a more positive vlog soon.